do this cold plunge, sit in this sauna, it's more than just doing. I believe the future of wellness is not about what we do to the body, but by what state the body is in when we do it.
Welcome to Extraordinary Stories. I'm your host, Forbes Shannon.
With me is Christine Butler.
We've done that so many times. You just finished my sentence. That's awesome. Forbes and Christine here for another episode of Extraordinary Stories. And the story today, regenerative wellness is what we're going to be talking on. But really, it's the big 3 R's behind this extraordinary collaborators movement: repair, rewiring, and remembering. Dana Herrera. Dana, thank you for being here.
Thanks, Dana.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm really excited to share with the world, with the audience, what I'm here to do.
Yes. Well, before we get into that, in the Extraordinary Collaborative, extraordinary people nominate other extraordinary people to join the collaborative. You were nominated by both Aaron Bear and Ricky Rosseo. How do you know both of those guys?
So Aaron Bear, I met back in, I want to say towards the end of 2021 at a DLP conference. I believe actually Don would be a good person to nominate.
Yes.
And I approached him. I remember I saw you guys both on stage and y'all were hilarious. And something inside me, my intuition just said, you got to go talk to this guy about stem cells and regenerative medicine and what you're doing at your clinic in Costa Rica. And so I approached him, and the rest is kind of history. We connected, and he came down, and he's introduced me to some amazing people. And it's just been a phenomenal friendship, and to see him grow into what he's doing and myself, it's lovely. And then Ricky. So Ricky and I worked together at the Regenerative Medicine Clinic in Costa Rica called RMI. And that man is a beautiful mind. If you've ever seen that movie, I've never met anyone like him or seen anybody do what he does with a spreadsheet and a chart and graphics. And it's absolutely incredible. And he's just an amazing human, first and foremost, great family man. And I have the pleasure to be able to call him and his wife a friend. So yeah, I love it.
Dana, I know exactly what you mean. We were at dinner with Ricky, and he brings out a spreadsheet at dinner, and it's beautiful. It's so beautiful. Mind is the best way to describe Ricky, for sure.
Yes,
for sure.
I love that you said intuition, and yeah, I remember that conference. It was like 5 years ago, and I'm just going to pat myself on the back for how much I've grown in those 5 years, because I can remember Dana was like, okay, this is the sidekick, and
you were funny though.
Thank you. I'll take that.
You're much more than that, of course.
Well, it's cool. The reason I bring that up is it's cool to see how the web changes over time. And I remember,
just grows.
Yeah. And I remember as soon as I met Dana at that conference, I was like, okay, this is a person who's going to be important in our life for many years. And I didn't know how yet, but you and Aaron are 2 master planners that always do. So, take us back to that moment. What was that intuition telling you?
So I love the word intuition. I've come to understand, before I go to the Aaron thing, that, when we live from empowered intuition, we create. Right? We are here to create, and we create what we're here to create. When we live from disempowered intuition, we compete, and we allow the world to affect us instead of affecting the world. So I really try to stay in that intuition when at all possible, because that allows me to create. And then just like with Aaron, everything is divine timing. Everything happens for a reason. And if I wouldn't have walked up to Aaron that day and introduced myself, I wouldn't have met Damon John. I wouldn't be on this podcast. There's all the webs of the way that life moves, and the speed of relationships is crazy. But if we don't follow that initial gut that pushes us to go talk to that person or go do this, then we miss out on the opportunities we were here to build, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and we definitely do build with the people around us and the communities around us. So you obviously travel a lot. You do a lot of fun things. Where's your favorite travel spot to go to reset your mindset?
Ooh,
that's a great question. I love to travel. I'm one of those people. I am a mom, but I love missing my children.
Same.
It's the best. I'm like, oh yeah, I get to miss you. So I love traveling. And at one point, Costa Rica was definitely my favorite spot. I have now since discovered just like little foothills of Colorado, like Evergreen or Bailey. Actually, just got back from
Yeah.
Bailey, Colorado, and going out and just spending time by myself, solo in nature to reset the nervous system, journal, meditate, go for walks. It's been an amazing, just for 4 days even, right? Like a Thursday through a Sunday or something has been incredible. So I'm really enjoying like Colorado foothills right now.
Do you do a lot of self trips? Just you? Just you,
I
yourself,
do
and
at
you?
least at least once a year, like with intention. But other than that, if I'm traveling for business, it's usually I'm just by
Yeah.
myself. But the intentional ones I try to do at least once a year. I've made that a non-negotiable for myself.
Yeah, that's so important. And I
Yeah.
think that it's undervalued, right? Like being alone with yourself is so undervalued. If you like
Mm-hmm.
yourself, right? How do you get
It's
to
hard.
liking
Well, it's
yourself?
hard. Yeah, it's hard for people who like I don't want to sit here by myself for 4 days with myself.
Yeah.
But you got to be able to love your own company. It's the most you are the most important person in your life.
Hmm.
For sure.
You can't give to anybody else what you want to give to anybody else if you don't first have it yourself.
I used to think that introverts were arrogant. I was like,
Mm.
what's so great about you? You just want to hang out with yourself. And then I started working on myself and I was like, dude, I'm great. I just want to hang out with myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
Like,
Yeah.
I get it. Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
think
I
that
want
that does come with getting older. You're just a
Mm,
little, you're
yes.
settling into your bones a little bit more.
hmm
Yes.
You
I
know,
I agree 100% with that. We look less to the world for the validation and for the approval and we start to look within. Yeah, it definitely comes with getting older. I agree completely.
totally. And I also think it comes with being a parent, right?
Mm,
I think that you start to heal your inner child, kind of like what I
Mhm.
was telling you earlier, when you raise a child, right? You see yourself in your
Yeah.
child. And so it's healing.
Yeah. It's
How
it's
many
it's
kiddos do you
healing and
have?
it's I have two. I have a 14, almost 15-year-old son and a 7-year-old daughter. And she's definitely my mirror. Me times 10, which I didn't even know existed. Um, and it's a challenge, but you're so right, Christine. I was thinking about that the other night. I was like, she is all the things that I wanted to overcome as a child, I'm
Yeah.
seeing in her, and you know what I mean? And you can kind of,
Hmm.
you heal yourself through your children, right? The goal is to not fill a void with your children. And I think that's what
Yes.
so many parents unconsciously do. They use their children to fill the void within themselves. And that's not what children are meant for, right? So I think that's why
Hmm.
healing ourselves is so important. So we don't use our partners and our children to do that for us.
yeah. Well, on the topic of healing, I want to talk about your movement, the 3 R's: repair, rewiring, and remembering. What does
Hmm.
that mean?
So, the category that I am here to create within the world in this wellness space is called experiential regenerative wellness. And that is the understanding that true healing comes from experience, right? No amount of data or information or being told or anything is going to transform you. You have to experience it. The same way your best friend can be like, dude, you got to go try this sushi restaurant downtown. It was absolutely incredible. The atmosphere was great. The sushi was great. We walked out and they gave us our own chopsticks and sure, cool. We'll go try it. Until you actually go do it yourself,
Hmm.
can you fully understand the depth of what it is that person is trying to tell you, right? And the same goes with healing. We can't memorize our way into healing or transformation. We have to
Mm,
experience it. That's how the human beings are created. And understanding and realizing that you are the medicine changes absolutely everything. Because if healing is an
Hmm.
experience and you are the medicine, then you hold everything you possibly need to heal yourself and you stop outsourcing your power. You stop outsourcing your intuition. You stop just doing more for the sake of doing more. And you actually settle in with what matters and you bring your body, your soul, your mind, your emotions into a place of what I call coherence. So they're actually working together instead of fighting each other. That's how we heal.
mm. So, can you explain a little bit more about what you mean when you say coherence? It's like
Yeah.
I'm right now in a red car fallacy with the word coherence. Like I
Yeah.
see it
You see it
I
everywhere
know.
now.
everywhere. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
is quite vague. Yes. So I will give you my definition or explanation of coherence. So the opposite of coherence is like fragmentation, right? And that is understanding that different things work in parts and not the whole. When you think of coherence, I want you to think of the whole. The sum of the parts is lesser than the whole, right? And so when you bring all these different dimensions of a human being, which by the way, we are 4-dimensional. We are physical, we have a
Yes.
body. We are mental, we have a mind, we have thoughts. We are emotional because we have emotions, and we are spiritual because we have a soul that is eternal. I'm sorry, those are non-negotiable, right? That is what we are. And so when you bring all 4 of those dimensions into working with each other and communicating with each other instead of competing or fighting each other, that is when you have coherence. It is a signal, it is a frequency that emits from you when you're not fighting yourself. And I think examples are helpful. And so what does it look like when you say fighting yourself? It could be waking up in the morning, picking up your phone, letting the world affect you. You feel tired. Your wife or spouse or partner or whoever asks you how you are, and you're like, I'm fine, but you're
Yeah.
not fine, right? Like what you feel, what you think, and what you say and do are not matching up. That is incoherence. That is fragmentation. Does that make
Yeah.
sense?
It totally makes sense.
Okay.
It almost reminds me of the word syzygy, which is the
Ooh.
perfect alignment of celestial beings or things, like
Ooh.
a lunar eclipse would be a syzygy, for example. So that
Yeah.
truly is one of my favorite words. I said all the time. It probably gets annoying. But
I
it
love that
also,
word.
as you start speaking, it also reminds me of the word embodiment, right? Because you have to kind of embody what you're feeling, what you're saying. Kind of all of it has to go all hand in hand in one big ball of coherence, right?
Yes, for sure. I love those. You're gonna have to send that to me so I know how to spell it.
I gotcha.
Then the other thing that I think is worth mentioning and for people to understand is this term loving awareness. And that essentially is the axis that all 4 dimensions work on, right? Because without loving awareness, if you're not aware of any of these, then you can't fix them. It's just like in Alcoholics Anonymous, right? The very first thing you have to do is admit that you're alcoholic. You can't fix or change or adjust something that you're not aware of. So loving awareness, though, is the ability to be aware of it without the judgment, right? Without the getting
Ooh.
mad at yourself or telling yourself you're stupid or you're wrong or you should know this. It's loving and loving recognition of your thoughts, your emotions, why you do the things that you do. And that's the axis that the 4 dimensions essentially function around, right?
Yeah, I love that. It reminds me of a quote. And I'm going to chop it up, but it's basically observe without any judgment, no, observing with no attachment to what you're observing. And it's an Indian philosopher, Jadoo. I'll shoot you an email with all this
Yes,
stuff.
please.
But yeah, we are going to have to get way deep on the road of philosophy. But I do want to know more about the science behind your philosophies, because I know you're a science girl, kind of like Ricky, kind of like Aaron. Let's go down science.
Yes, absolutely.
Specifically, stem cells.
Yes. Okay. So that is one piece of the multi-dimensional puzzle, right? And then we can definitely talk about that. But I think what's missing today, and it's starting to come to light, like you have, teachers like Dr. Joe Dispenza,
Yeah.
even Tony Robbins, who are really understanding the science between the heart, brain coherence, and all these different things. And everything regarding the 4 dimensions of wellness is science backed. There are studies that show all of it. And it's really funny because what used to be called like woo-woo, right, is now actually coming out and you're like, oh, look at that. Science proves it. Of course, because we exist together. Science and soul are not 2 separate concepts and you have to choose one or the other. And God forbid you drift to the other side. They are the same ideas and same concepts speaking
Exactly.
just different languages. That's all it is. And so I love the science part of it because again, it's provable. You can see it. It's logical. And then you have the soul part, which is the intuitive and the feel and the knowing, right? And so with stem cells, I love stem cells. I love regenerative medicine. And I love it because I've seen so many people heal from it. And I've seen so many people, I've been in health and wellness for 16 years, and I've seen what the traditional system has done to people. It did it to my mom. She actually went in for a rotator cuff tear surgery and she came out a different human being. She's still a different human being. This was 2020. They gave her too much anesthesia and the anesthesia literally fried her brain and she's in just this neurological fog.
Wow.
My aunt interestingly enough, had the exact same issue and came down to Costa Rica, and we put stem cells in her shoulder, and the woman kayaks in the ocean and whitewater rafts in the river and goes to Crete and leads women's groups. And I'm like looking at these two women who made two different choices and have two completely different lives. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Yeah.
And so I've seen the power of stem cells, but what I've come to learn is that even the most advanced stem cell protocol or regenerative medicine protocol can only do so much if the system, the body in which you're inserting it, is living in fight or flight, because your body is now going to tell those cells what to do. And if you have inflammation because you're in survival mode, it's not going to go to repair. The cells are going to go to protect. And that's what I'm really learning. And that's why I developed this 4 dimensions of wellness, because we're treating humans in parts instead of the whole.
Okay. In
Yeah.
parts instead of the whole. Was there
Yeah.
was there a moment in your life that was kind of like the aha moment where
Mm.
you realized you were looking at things in parts and you needed to look at them in a whole?
Yes, 100%. And the story behind it is going to be, it's going to be a little heavy. But I was in Costa Rica in January of 2025, and I was with our CFO at the time, and we were celebrating, and we had just had this amazing week. And I got a text message that said that my dad had killed himself. And I remember handing the phone to Steve and just being like, this is not what I think it says, Steve. Like, tell me this doesn't say what I think it says. And I hit my knees, and it was. And like his life was what I call my mirror, because he taught me to perform, he taught me to achieve, he taught me love meant being useful. Like he taught me all those things and I regretted him for it for so long, but it made me who I was. But that when he died, you guys, like, his death was my initiation. It was that catalyst for me that was like, when you live for the outside world, when you live in parts and in fragments and you're only looking for outside validation and you don't do the work to heal yourself, this is what you take your own life. You know what I mean? Like it was just this blaring obvious, like, gift that he gave me, which I know sounds crazy. It's
No.
hard to understand that, but his death was the biggest gift he could have ever given me, because it showed
Yeah.
me what happens when you live like that.
Right. Your own personal spiritual martyr, you know?
Yes, 100%. And so that is what put me on this journey, really. I mean, I've been on this journey for so long, but that's what really thrust me into this journey of wellness is more than just biohacking. Like, we're like,
Absolutely.
do this cold plunge, sit in this sauna, it's more than just doing. I believe the future of wellness is not about what we do to the body, but by what state the body is in when we do it. That's what I believe. And that's what I think is coming.
Yeah, I'm so excited for the future.
Yeah.
Science, I always say science is my religion, because any which way you look at it, science will lead you back to God. It's hand in
100%.
hand.
I love that.
Mhm.
100%. It will lead you back to God. That is so true. And there's a lot of it out there right now, which is amazing, right? I don't think 10 years ago we had near the studies and the science that we had, but I think
Mhm.
there's so much of it coming out that's proving what we've known all along.
Right. Right.
So now the state of which the body is in,
Coherence.
I'm gonna coherence. My question is, like, is that something you just achieve and then you check it off, or is it something that ebbs and
No.
flows in your life?
Yeah, it's a daily practice, right? So there are things that you can do, that you will do, of course, that put your body in a place of coherence versus fragmentation, that take you out of survival mode and put you into creation mode, right? So yeah, so there are definitely tips and things that you should do. I think one of the easiest things that everybody can do is don't pick up your phone for the first 20 to 30 minutes. Do
Yeah.
not pick up your phone. Do not let the world affect you. You affect the world. And when we pick up our phone, our brains immediately go into the same pattern it did the day before, the day before, the day before. And now we live from a totally different state, right? Frequency. What are we emitting? Fear, doubt, any of those negative feelings or emotions start to creep in because we're what we're taking in, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So yeah, there are
My-
little things that we can do.
My buddy Jake Yardley has a really good bit about that. He's like, he got a notification in the middle of the night from some news source that North Korea had moved a potentially nuclear launching submarine into some coast. And he's like, "Hey, I appreciate the heads up, but like, I'm not the guy you need to tell. Like, I'm not going to be able to do anything about it. Like, don't hit me up in the middle of the night, you know?" So, like, why do you think people are, what do you think is the game that's behind all of that? You know, why are we getting nuclear submarine push notifications?
Are you asking me?
Yeah.
Why are we getting nuclear submarine push notifications? Honestly, I think it's control. I think
Yes, I was going to say
I
distraction.
it's control, distraction, 100%. When you can keep people in fear, even the stuff going on in Puerto Vallarta right now, like
Right.
I'm just like, guy, don't go to the fear place. You know what I mean? The moment you go to the fear place, now you're vulnerable into whatever, susceptible to whatever anybody wants to tell you because you're in fight or flight, right? You're like,
Yeah.
there's a tiger.
Right.
Right.
So yeah,
well,
fear and
hotels are cheap for
distraction.
us who want to go.
So what does fear
Yes.
do to your four
Dimensions.
dimensions? Yeah.
So fear. So if you've ever, I don't know if you've ever read the book called Power versus Force by David Hawkins. It's a fantastic book, and it basically explains how different levels of consciousness or frequency resonate at different maps on this maps of consciousness, right? And so fear is extremely low. So when you live in fear, you have a very low frequency. And so everything that is being taken into you and every perception that you see what's happening in the world is being processed through this lens of fear. And it's difficult to then get out of that state because your body is perceiving everything through a fear lens. You know what I mean?
I do.
So you can't get to a place of coherence when you're living in fear. You just can't. It's like that saying, faith and fear can't live in the same place. If there's fear, then you don't have faith, right?
Yeah. Yeah. If I remember correctly, in that book, fear is parallel with regret, right? It's not those low vibrational, ways
Mhm.
to express yourself. Shame, all those
doubt,
things.
yeah, all
And
those things.
So that
yeah.
was me. You came from a fear. I came from a guilt, right? And it's either way, it's low vibrational. So when you let that go, it's like it feels different and the world feels different.
So to follow up
It
on that,
does.
if it's not fear or like if that's where you're incoherent, what is the state in which coherence
Joy,
exists?
love,
authenticity. Authenticity is actually one of the highest. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because again, the purpose, the outcome is for us to create. That is why we're here. We're here to create. Everything we see around us was created by a human, right? And so you can't create what you're here to create when you're living in a state of perpetual fear, guilt, shame. So you have to move out of that so you can understand then what am I here to do? What am I here to create?
Well, and the funniest part about it all is that it's up to us. Like we can level up anytime we want. We just have to do it.
Do the work.
choice is truly ours. It will work.
Yep. You have to do the work 100%. It's one of those profound but simple things, you know?
Exactly. Yeah. Yep. That I think every human has to arrive to, right?
100%.
Or they
on
don't.
their own. Yeah.
And so as a mom, how do you do your part to ensure that your children are reaching those high vibrations?
So my son's a little easier than my daughter, but she needs more of the work. So we do gratitude journaling in the morning. So when we wake up, I ask her what are 3 things she's grateful for. And some of them are silly, right? But we write them down and I ask her to do an I am statement. And I think that is one of the most powerful things you can do as well. When you say I am, and then you put something after it, that is the most powerful thing. That's why you don't ever want to say, I am tired, I am sick. You say, I am feeling tired, I am feeling sick. But when you say I am, you're claiming that, right? So saying, I am brave, I am strong, I am smart, I am intelligent, I am respectful, whatever it is we want to work on that day. And then there's a little headset called Brain Tap. I met Dr. Patrick Porter. He's so great. I love his Brain Tap. So I'll put that on my son sometimes at night before he has a big baseball game, or I'll put it on my daughter. So I try to get them involved in the little rituals, if you will.
Yeah. Can only benefit them.
So,
Yeah.
I want to, oh, go ahead.
I have a 13-year-old and a 9-year-old. They're both just little wild, curious beings. And so I think they already naturally have a lot of curiosity, and so I just really encourage them to push it even,
Yeah,
in their own minds, like, push,
that's
like, "Why
great.
are you thinking that?" And then just
Mhm.
letting them know what they really are, that I am whatever, I am smart. I
I love
am
it.
what it
Yeah.
is. So that's kind
Mhm.
of similar to
Mm.
your
Yeah,
approach.
yeah. I
Mhm.
love the curiosity part though, for sure.
Yeah, yeah, we definitely and kids, they harness curiosity like it's a natural thing, right?
Mm,
And so I feel like us parents can learn so much from a child just in the state of curiosity, you
for
know?
sure. Well,
Mhm.
you know, I think I don't have kids yet. Um, but in my own journey, what I've had to do is I've had to actually focus more on what am I not? What did I
Yeah.
tell
Mm.
myself I was that I
Mhm.
just burned into my brain?
Mhm.
The biggest one was it was such a part of my identity that I was the smart one.
Mm. Okay.
The high achiever in high school and the know-it-all,
Okay.
and that's kinda leads to the genesis of the book I'm writing now of I don't know shit because it's like I was so rooted in I am the smartest guy. I am, that
Sure.
it blinded everything
I
else.
see. Okay.
And, I'm not really sure actually how you would go about unlearning something like that, Dana.
Mm.
Do you?
Yeah, so that is one of the things that you have to do. It is unlearning, right? You have to unlearn and before you can kind of take on the next steps. So what I do, there's some really good meditations out there actually that take you back to your childhood. And
Yeah.
there's some of my favorite. And you can go into a deep state of theta and you envision yourself as a child at whatever age he or she appears and you start to ask them questions and you start to kind of talk to them and understand where are they at, what did they need at that time, what were they told on who they had to be in order to survive, and from there you can then work backwards to try to unlearn some of those or understand where the root of that was, right? Like where was the root of your this I am smart? Was that just like the safety blanket you wore to not get hurt, or like where did that come from, you know?
Yeah, right. Rewards,
Okay.
like,
Okay.
positive attention and validation
For
when I,
sure.
So love, so you feel like if you were smart you received love.
yeah. And if I didn't have it, I wasn't. And
Mhm.
then I
Right.
realized that a lot of the people who love me now love me because they think I'm an idiot.
So it's the complete opposite.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so dismantling, so the other thing I think too is like your biggest enemy is the version of you built to survive, right?
Yeah.
Mm,
Because it provides this illusion of safety, and we all have it and we have to do it, and that's fine. There's a purpose for it, but there comes a time when it no longer serves a purpose and all it's keeping you from doing is being free.
mm.
So you have to go back to those different things. Like I said, I was performing and achieving for love. That's what I felt I needed to do, but that's not real. That's not the real me, right? So I have to dismantle that version, so I can step into my authentic self and let those things go. The same way you have to let go of being smart, and now you can be an idiot. I'm just
Yeah.
kidding.
So did that rift happen with your dad's passing about performance?
Yes, it did. It did. I traced back all of the different things. Like my dad loved women. He loved attention from women, and so my dad would take me to Applebee's when I was 6 to pick up the bartender. Like literally. Like he would sit me on the stool and get me vanilla ice cream and disappear with the bartender. Like every on his day off, every single week for as long as I can remember. And then it turned into Sam's Boat, which is a fun little Houston restaurant like turned nightclub. Between the ages of 15 and 17, I was at the bar drinking freaking beer, sitting
Yeah.
while women would come over and be like, "Oh my God, is that your daughter?" And he'd be like, "Yeah, that's," and then they would disappear. So I was taught at a very early age to perform for love, right? Perform for
Yeah.
Mm,
connection, like usefulness is currency. And I didn't even know that's what was happening. I thought I was
Mhm.
just hanging out and having fun, but I had to go back and trace all of those steps and go, oh, that's why I'm just like a workaholic and I love work, right? But that's why I've done so many of the things I've done. But I think I realized at 37, everything was an illusion. Like I had everything on
Yeah.
paper, the house, the kids, the marriage, and I was effing miserable, you guys. Like I was
uh-huh.
miserable. Like all the amount of stuff didn't equate to eh, feeling whole or free. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Yeah, totally. Sure. That's Well,
But
sounds like you're a great wingman.
I'm a very good wing woman. Very good.
I could tell. I could tell. Now, with that experience, do you see any parallels to like a 12-step program, right? Where you're like, first you have regret and then it's like denial or whatever the steps are. Like, did you experience any of those things where,
No, I didn't, but I think there's validity to that. 100, I think
Yeah.
100% the way that they developed that program is it's extensively researched and there's a lot of validity. Like I said, I don't think I went through it like that with intention. I think I just started to peel back the layers, one layer at a time, and it took me several years to do it. I will tell you that psychedelics for me was one of the biggest life-changing experiences, because it gets rid of that default mode network in our brains, right? That tells us our identity, our ego. It shuts that motherfucker down and you only experience what you actually are. And so that was a big turning point for me, being able to go on like a journey.
For sure. I completely relate.
Yeah. Yes. And it's starting to come out more, right? And one of the things I would love to do in the future, and I plan on doing this, is having a place where you can actually do stem cells and psychedelics under the same roof.
And call
because
it physiology.
Yeah. Yes. That's exactly what we should call it. All together, because now you're going to the emotion, you're going to the root, you're going to the spirit, and now you're introducing the regenerative aspect of the stem cells. And I think the outcomes are going to be just amazing. So I'll let you know when that happens.
Yeah.
Well, it's a unique approach to like essentially cleanse the palate before you get all of these new, treatments and the medicine and the wellness. I think that's fascinating. I guess my question for you is, what is next in the future for you in this movement?
So I left the company that I helped build, poured my heart and soul into. I left that company last June, and then went and did a little minor stint for a couple of months somewhere else, as a COO, and just came to the realization that I don't want to work for other people anymore. I have enough knowledge and experience now to take what I know and what I've learned and what I've seen to the world. And so what's next for me is my book, The 4 Dimensions of Wellness: Unlocking the Path to True Healing and Human Potential, comes out April 17th.
Okay.
Sweet.
Yeah. And then I want to create this category of experiential regenerative wellness that we understand. Treatments are one thing, right? You can go to a clinic and you can get a treatment, you can go on a retreat, but it all needs to happen together. Mind, body, spirit, heart, everything together, where we treat as the whole. And then eventually I will open my own company where that will be the container, and you can go experience these different modalities where science meets soul in its entirety. So that's coming up. I'm working on it.
Wow.
That sounds exciting.
Extraordinary even. Yeah.
Oh my
Yay.
gosh.
That's awesome.
I'm excited.
Hey, Dana, we ask everybody on Extraordinary Stories this question. If there was one piece of advice you could give our listeners today that would help them live more extraordinarily like Dana, what would it be?
So my dad, actually, interestingly enough, gave me this piece of advice. If you don't like something, change it. And if you can't change it, change the way you think about it.
If you don't like something, change
Change
it.
it.
And if you can't change it, change the way you think about it.
Yep.
Love that.
That puts the
awesome.
power with you, because it is.
It's all
It's
up to you,
always
yeah.
it's always been you. It's nobody else, right? We hold the power in ourselves. We've just been conditioned to outsource it.
Wow. Well, thank you so much, Dana. You can read more about Dana Herrera and all the awesome things she's creating in the future of this new category at joinextraordinary.com. That's JOINEXTRAORDINARY.com. I'm Forbes Shannon.
I'm Christine Butler.
Dana, thank you so much.
Thanks, Dana.
Thank you guys for having me. That was fun.